Mrs. Ross, the Glenwood School Counselor, back with a mindful moment time. So yesterday I had internet issues, so I'm not sure what everyone was able to see. But Skyrunner fixed our internet yesterday. It was on their part, so I'm very thankful for that. So yesterday I introduced you to the word patience. And I talked about that patience is the ability to wait for something without frustration. And it is a very important skill for not only boys and girls, but for adults. It is something that we need to use in our entire life. So it is important that we know how to be able to wait. And you know what? Right now, it's pretty hard. I mentioned yesterday that after getting the news that school was closed, that it was hard for me because I want things fixed right now. Well, I can want that, but that's developing patience is very important. So I'm going to share today one of my favorite stories that I use with boys and girls because this little fella does not have patience. And I figure that parents right now, maybe this is probably happening at home because this is a skill that has to be developed, and we have to model it. So as adults, we have to show children how to deal with patience, and they see us model it and then they'll learn it. But my story today is My Mouth is a Volcano, and it's by my favorite author, Julia Cook, who I think is awesome. I use her books all the time. So I'm going to share this because I bet right now that part of impatience that we may have as parents is that we have children who want our attention nonstop. I'm going to share this story, and then maybe you guys can have a conversation today about that. So I'm going to show you the illustration. All right. It says, my name is Lewis. People say I erupt a lot. I don't think I do. I have a lot to say, and all of my words are very important to me. When other people talk, words just pop into my head. Then they slide down onto my tongue. Show you my tummy starts to rumble, and then it starts to grumble. My words begin to wiggle, and then they just do the jiggle. My tongue pushes all my important words up against my teeth, and then I think I'm going to do it this way better. Okay. Hey, guess what, you guys? I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. In class, my teacher says that when we want to say something, we are supposed to look at her, raise our hand, and wait until she calls on us. I tried that. After I waited patiently for what seemed like 62 years, my important words slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. My teacher was less than pleased. She erupted me right back. I know what you are saying is very important to you, Lewis, but since it is not an emergency, you'll have to wait until I call on you. It was my volcano's fault. So parents, are you seeing this right now? You're trying to do something and you've asked your children to wait, and they're like, but I've got to tell you. All right, so let's see if we can learn how we can help our boys and girls. All right, at daycare, we were sitting on the rug listening to Miss Polly read us a story about planting trees. All of a sudden, I thought about the time my grandpa and I planted 6 trees in his front yard. My important words slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. So all of us have things pop in our head and think, oh, what we have to say is more important than someone else. But again, it is very important that when someone else is speaking or someone else is busy doing something, we do have to wait our turn. And that is developing patience. I got a timeout. It was my volcano's fault. During dinner, Mom and Dad were talking about paying the bills. Then I thought about my friend Bill. Bill can blow a bubble inside of a bubble when he chews 2 pieces of bubble gum. Now that is really important. My important words about Bill slid down from my head onto my tongue. Now, what do you think his parents are going to do when he erupts them? They're having a serious conversation. You ready? My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my very important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. Louis, my mom said, you interrupted again. If somebody else is talking and you don't have an emergency, you have to wait for your... But, Mom, my words, they slide down from my head onto my tongue. Then my tummy starts to rumble. Louis, you did it again. I got sent to my room. She said I was rude. It was my volcano's fault. The next day at school was my very important day. I had been waiting... I'll move it. I had been waiting for about 126 weeks to be the student star of my class. This was my special moment. I got to share a poster with my class that had pictures of all my favorite things. I stood up in front of my class and began to tell them about the time I went fishing. What do you think is going to happen? Hey, Austin, I'm glad you're here today. What do you think is going to happen? Now, he's telling an important story. You ready? Halfway through my story, Richard started to tell everyone about when he went deep sea fishing in Mexico. His story must have been better than mine because everyone started to look at him. He was stealing my important words. Richard, said my teacher, you just interrupted Louis. Please wait until he has finished talking, and then he might call on you. I believe how rude that was of Richard. He erupted me. That really made me angry. Now, do you think this is going to make Louis think about what he's doing? Because right now he doesn't see that he thinks, well, what I have to say is important. Remember we're talking about the word patience? He's not being very patient, is he? He's being impatient. After talking about my fishing trip, I started to explain the x-ray of my broken arm. Just as I was getting to the good part, Courtney started to tell the class about when she broke her leg. Courtney, said my teacher, you just interrupted Louis. Please wait until he has finished talking, and then he might call on you. I couldn't believe how rude that was of Courtney. She started talking right during my 15 minutes of fame. She ruined my important words. She almost stole my moment. How do you think Louis is feeling? He has had two boys and girls interrupt him. When I got home, I told my mom about rude Richard and rude Courtney. Now you know how we feel when you interrupt us, said my mom. Well, I never thought about that. I just get so excited, and my words, they just pop into my head, then they slide down onto my tongue. My tummy starts to rumble, and then it starts to grumble. My words begin to wiggle, and then they do the jiggle. Then my tongue pushes all of my important words up against my teeth. And I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. Do you think that Louis can learn not to erupt? I'm wondering. Maybe Richard and Courtney have volcanoes in their mouth too, my mom replied. Well, I never thought about that. Well, son, the next time your important words are pushed into your teeth by your tongue, bite down hard and don't let them out. Then take a deep breath and push your words out through your nose. Then, when it's your turn to talk, take a deep breath and breathe them back into your mouth. Will that work, I asked. Only if you make it work, said my mom. I think that's worth a try, don't you? That night at the dinner table, my sister Sylvia was in the middle of one of her long girl stories. when my important words began to slide down from my head and my volcano started to do its thing. Just as my tongue started to push my words out through my teeth, I bit down really hard. Then I breathed my words out through my nose. As soon as my sister finished talking, I took a deep breath, and back in went the words. I was amazed that they had just hung around outside my mouth and didn't float away. Then I told my story, and nobody got mad at me for erupting. How do you think that's making Lewis feel? After that, I never erupted again. Well, except for the time Bill's bubblegum got stuck in my hair. But that was a real emergency. So again, that's one of my favorite stories. Julia Cook is just a fun author. So I share that today because we're talking about the word patience. And I said to you, that is a skill that we as boys and girls and adults we need. It is a lifetime skill that all of us need. And we have to learn to use those coping strategies. So his mom gave him that strategy about breathing the words that he wants to say outside his nose, and then when it was his turn to pull them back in. So that is a strategy. So all of us need to figure out what's a way that we cannot interrupt, basically, and show patience. So I'm going to share a couple examples. I was listening to Maria Dismondy, and believe it or not, she was talking about patience yesterday. And so she was sharing with families some things that they could do. So I'm going to share her list with you this morning before we do our mindful moments. So parents, here are some things that you can do. Because again, to get better at showing patience, we have to practice. Adults and kids, all of us. So we learn through practice. It's just like learning math and reading. So we have to learn these character traits through practice. So one thing that you can do as a family is play board games. You could try, like when you have something so important to say, you can distract yourself until it's your turn. Read, play with a toy, do something, get a fidget, do something until your parents or older sister, brother, whoever you want to share something with says, okay, what do you want to share with me? So distract yourself so you won't interrupt. Do a puzzle. Bake something together. Write a letter to someone and ask them to write you back. Because you know what? Waiting for that letter to come back takes patience. Go fishing. I don't know how many of you have been fishing before, but you throw in that line and fish don't automatically get on that line. You had to wait and wait and wait. I remember as a kid going fishing with my uncle, and man, it was boring. But a lot of folks like it, and that's a great skill way to practice using patience. Use timers. Like, I'm not going to say anything for 10 minutes and set a timer and just practice it. So parents, that's something that you can do with your kids. There are some great read alouds if you want to listen to stories online with the theme patience. So that might be something that you can do with your children, is listen to books online that have that theme and just talk about it. And talk about it as a family, about how you feel when somebody interrupts you and doesn't practice patience. This is the time that we all need to be more tolerant of others. And that's hard because I think our feelings, our emotions are on our shoulders. You know, we've been home a lot. So I think this is an important character trait that we really need to be working on, to be accepting and tolerant of others, that we're all going through something. So I want you to practice patience, okay? All right, so this morning, for our mindful breathing, this is what we're going to do. You know, I love for us to think of positive things that we can say. So this morning, we're going to say in our head, not out loud, when we're doing our breathing, I am strong, okay? Because you know, when we say those positive statements to ourselves instead of saying negative things, they get ingrained in our head, and that makes us be able to make better choices. Because if I keep going, oh, I'm stupid, you know, I can't do this, I'm going to start believing that. So I need to be able to believe I've got this, or you know, I'm strong. So let's do I am strong. Ready? All right, so I want you to either sit on the floor or sit in your chair. We always do the same routine. Put our hands on our knees. Relax your shoulders. You don't have to be, you know, scrunched up. Relax your shoulders. Again, look down because I don't want you to be distracted. look down, and if you are comfortable, close your eyes as well. Again, that is your choice. So everything's quiet. Now we're in our head. I am strong. I'm gonna talk us through the breathing part because this is gonna get us ready to learn today. Okay, get us focused. So here we go. We're gonna inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I hope you're saying that mantra in your head. Okay, one last time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody open your eyes and look up. So this morning, we're practicing saying that positive statement, I am strong, with our mindful moment to get us ready to learn, practicing our breathing, and I talked to you about patience. So I want you to practice that today. I really hope that I'll find out that you're practice some kind of game. Like Austin was sharing that he likes to play Monopoly. That is a great game to practice patience because it takes a long time. And you know what, Austin? I used to play that game all the time when I was your age with my uncle. It would take hours to play. So that definitely develops patience. So choose a game today. And you know what? That counts as academic time, guys, because that's practicing social skills, that's practicing reading and math. So play a board game today, and that helps develop all those skills, and those are important life skills. I hope you all have a terrific Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Have a great day.